Hey, what's up everybody? So as the title suggests, the 3-stage manifold is in. The car is still running the stock tune now, but that's going to change all sometime next week. I've actually already made the appointment. I just don't know how long it's going to take me after it's done to get the video out, but I'm going to have that as soon as I can. So just be looking for that one. So this video pertains more to the install, and I really wanted to make a DIY guide on it, but I didn't really know what I was doing, to be honest. I just kind of was figuring it out as I went. I mean, I had a written guide that I found on a Pelican Parts, and it was pretty thorough. It was for older models, so a few things didn't pertain to this. It was a little simpler than their guide was, but it was not easy by any means, and I ran into tons of problems along the way, but I overcame them all. When I first got it done, I had some real problems. The car wasn't running right, and it took me a couple of hours to figure out what was wrong, and the gasket on cylinder 5 on the intake manifold had fallen off somewhere in the assembly, and I was getting a ton of air in through there, and so the mass airflow sensor was just going absolutely crazy, and so I had to unplug it to drive the car just so I could go to school and whatnot. But when I figured out what was wrong, I went home, and the kit that I got from BMW with the gaskets came with a 7th gasket, so I just used that. So other problems I ran into, so the manifold I had a single breather hose and an oil separator, and the one that my car has had a dual breather hose and no oil separator, so I had to remove the oil separator from the manifold, which was really easy, just a couple torque screws on it. I think they were T27s. My cat. I think they were T27 torques, and I just removed the hose. And then to deal with the 2 breather hoses to one, I plugged one with a little metal plug that I bought at Lowe's for like 70 cents. And then I forced the other one back to meet the center hose, so the plug on the new manifold. And that worked perfectly. I just sealed it up with some Gorilla Glue or something that I bought at Lowe's. I don't think it was actually Gorilla Glue, but some kind of adhesive. That was fine. I broke the clip on the little vacuum line, I guess is what it is, that goes right behind the throttle body on the manifold, and just used a zip tie to fix that, and that was perfect too. The clip that actually connects to the throttle body for the wiring broke, but it still went back on just fine, and it's not going anywhere. It's just the little piece that broke. I mean, after 8 years is how old my car is. Those plastic clips have been exposed to a lot of heat, and they become really hard and really brittle, so it's really easy to break stuff. You just have to be extremely careful, and it's really hard to do because you can't see. There's also a wiring box on the bottom of the manifold you have to disconnect, and it has 2 plastic clips, but they don't work, so you have to remove the whole assembly, and it's held in by 2 T27s. And the one closer to the front of the car was really easy, but the one behind it is blocked off by so many wires. But it did come off, I got it out, and getting it in was even harder than getting it out. Lining up the manifold is pretty hard because there's some bolts, 3 of them, but they're all on the front of the car, not the back, so the bottom of the manifold kind of sags a little bit. You have to use a good bit of strength to hold it up while you put in the bolts over there to keep it in place. Got a video here where the car is taken apart and I kind of explain everything, but that's what I ran into. Those are the problems. And also, the car does drive, like, you can feel a difference even on the factory tune. It's not a major difference, but I'm really excited to see what this tune does. So taking the car to BPC, and if you don't know who BPC is, they're probably the biggest BMW shop in the Southeast. Active Auto Works, I believe they're in Miami, and they're probably bigger, but BPC is huge. They're very well known across the country. I've talked to people that don't even live on this, they live in Texas and places like that, and they still want BPC's tunes. They have one of the most aggressive tunes for the N52, and they've developed a lot of time on it. They're also developing a turbo kit for the car, and I'm kind of excited to see that. It's probably going to be way too expensive for me. It's probably still cheaper just to upgrade to a 335 if you're trying to go turbo route. But it's still cool that somebody is showing the N52 love when it's basically been neglected by the entire tuning community. So with that, let's have a look at the car with it disassembled, and I'll kind of explain in more detail what I did and how I did it, and the steps, and kind of what to look for and stuff. Alright, well, the manifold is out. You can see big open space now. It's just chilling over there. The multi-stage one is upstairs.
be getting ready to put that in. But let me kind of go over what I did to get this out. And this was not easy. It probably, I don't actually know what time it is right now, but it probably took about 2.5 hours to get this thing out. So my first course was to remove the intake, and I've got a card right above it. I will put that there. So anyway, remove that, remove the shroud. I found it easier to take the throttle body off the car and work with it off, so I took the throttle body off the manifold, and it freed up some space down there. And there's this little box here, and it's on clips that are supposed to slide out, but I couldn't figure it out. So the whole bracket was held in by two T27s. Now I found a guide online, and they said 37s, and I looked for 37s forever and couldn't find them. So I figured it had to be a typo, and it was a 27, and that is definitely the case. So I removed that. After that, what did I do? I disconnected my fuel lines. They just pop out. They're just well, they're down in here somewhere. I'll find them but they just go in right here, and then another one here. I'm assuming one for each bank, like cylinders 1 through 3 and 4 through 6. Disconnected the oil pressure sensor just right here, just held in by a little spring clip. So that'll just be, you know, that's easy. I removed the 11mm bolts holding the intake on, freed up some space. I went under and removed the crankcase ventilation hose, which was an absolute nightmare. I had to have some help doing that. It was really hurting my back just bending over like that nonstop. It's not an easy job. Oh yeah, I had to relocate the power steering pump. I didn't actually disconnect anything. It's just not on its brackets over here anymore. It's sitting where the airbox used to be, and will go again. So the only problem I have right now is with the crankcase ventilation hose. I don't think I broke it or anything. It seems fine. They say it gets really brittle and they can break, but as far as I can tell, it's intact. I just pulled out the manifold. I heard that there was like something that runs through the manifold you would have to remove, but I didn't find that to be the case at all. So maybe that's on earlier models. It may have been relocated on the LCIs. Oh yeah, I also removed the strut brace bar. It's a 14mm Torx here and an 18 over there, and both of them share a common bolt there. So, but you don't need to remove the passenger side one to do this job. You can just, you know, leave it there. I had to disconnect a fuel line from the back. It just bolts to the manifold with a T25. All in all, I mean, it's a lot of simple things, but it's a big job. So, oh, I did have one problem with the vacuum on the throttle body. The clip just completely shattered. So, the good thing is I probably will never need it again to get it off. So, I think I'm just gonna bond it back on. I know that some people might think that's, you know, I should just buy a new thing, but really I don't even know where that hose goes to. So I just want to make sure it's on there and never coming off. I do have a sneaking suspicion that bolting this thing back up to the new manifold is going to be really hard. Maybe while I'm in here I'll go ahead and clean off the engine a little bit, since I've got good access to it right now. Let's see. Look down in you can see down into the cylinders. See, 2 valves on each cylinder, I guess. I'm sure that this has got more than 2 valves a cylinder, but you can see that. It's probably 2 intake valves. I guess you have 2 exhaust valves on the other side, so 4 valves a cylinder. I think. Could be wrong. I don't actually know. But yeah, this is what your engine looks like without a manifold. So it's time to get this new one on here. Okay, so the 3-stage manifold is in now. So you can see the diesel valve there. It's wired up. That white stuff, that's just some tape I used to mark it. It's gonna come off. One in the back. So you have 2 diesel wires. You're gonna have a short one and a long one, and they both have caps on them. So you take the caps off. The short one goes to the front, and the long one goes to the back, so you don't really need to mark it, but I did it just because I didn't know that they were different lengths when I started this. So when I am putting these bolts back on, I think that BMW says something like 10 Newton meters or something, which I don't know what that is. It's like very little. So I've just been doing it till it's tight, you know, like, and not going any further. Just when I get like a decent bit of resistance. and I'm crossing it. So like I started with the one that you can see right here, then I went to the one in the back there, and then I went to this one, and then I went to that one, and now I'm gonna hit that one and then the next one, just like that, to avoid overdoing it. I've just been reconnecting the wires as I went, so oil pressure sensors hooked back up, my fuel rails. Also, the second one fuel rail plugs into this gray wire, and it came loose and was like way over there somewhere, and I had no idea what it was, and it took me a while to figure out what it was. So if you run into that problem and you found a wire and you don't remember unplugging it, it probably goes to your fuel. It goes to your injectors. I mean, I need to reattach the fuel line back to the manifold on the back side, then reattaching the throttle body, putting the air box back in. I guess I gotta get the power steering reservoir out of the way again for that, so I guess I'll remount it.
Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm really excited to have the manifold in and to be getting the car tuned. And this was by no means an easy project, but if I can do it, you can do it. And the analogy I've been using to explain it to people is it's kind of like Legos, just really expensive and big Legos that require ratchets. But if I can do it, you can do it. So if this is something you're thinking about doing, just have some patience, a little bit of strength, and it'd really help to have a second person with you, but by no means do you actually need it. So yeah, thank you for watching guys. Give it a thumbs up. I am really excited about this, and I will have that tuning video out as soon as possible. Hopefully some dyno graphs with that, maybe some pictures of the dyno, video clips of the dyno run, lots of things. So look forward to that, and I will see you in the next one.